I met her on a transit platform that shouldn't have existed. The station floated between trade lanes on the outer rim, a temporary hub stitched together from modular steel and borrowed gravity. Ships stopped there to refuel, exchange cargo, or simply wait out political inspections. No one stayed long, and no one asked questions. That was the kind of place I preferred. I was waiting for a courier vessel when I noticed her struggling with a broken service terminal. She looked ordinary. Humanoid, at least. Slightly taller than average, dark hair pulled back without ornament, clothing functional rather than fashionable. No guards. No insignia. Just a traveler dealing with a machine that refused to cooperate. I almost ignored her. In my line of work, freelance systems analyst, sometimes smuggler, attention was a liability. But she sighed, a small sound of frustration, and something about it felt disarmingly human. Terminals fried, I said, stepping closer. Happens when the station reroutes power. She glanced up, eyes sharp but calm. Can you fix it? I can try. I bypassed the terminal's casing and rerouted the interface through my wrist console. The screen flickered back to life.
Thank you, she said.
I was beginning to think it disliked me personally. I smiled. Machines usually do. She laughed softly, and just like that, we were talking. Her name, she said, was Lira. She didn't offer a surname. I didn't ask. We shared a meal at a crowded vendor stall, nutrient wraps and recycled water masquerading as tea. She asked thoughtful questions about my work, about the stations I'd seen, the worlds I'd visited. She listened in a way most people didn't, as if cataloging not facts, but implications. What brings you this far out? I asked. Perspective, she replied after a pause. It's easier to understand people when you're not standing above them. I assumed it was metaphorical. Our conversation was interrupted by a low hum that rippled through the platform. Dock alarms chimed softly, not an emergency, but a warning. Several military-grade cruisers emerged from fold space, their hulls marked with a sigil I recognized immediately. The Sovereign Crest. My stomach tightened. That's trouble, I muttered. This station isn't worth a royal patrol. Lira stood, suddenly alert. I should go. Yeah, I said. Probably a good. The sound cut through the station like thunder.
Boots. Dozens of them.
Perfectly synchronized. Armored soldiers poured onto the platform, forming lines with mechanical precision. Civilians froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. And then, impossibly, the soldiers knelt. Every single one. Heads bowed. Weapons lowered. The station fell silent except for the hum of engines and my own pounding heart. I turned slowly toward Lira. She no longer looked ordinary. Her posture had changed, settled. Like gravity itself had adjusted to her presence. Her expression was calm, almost weary, as if this was an inconvenience rather than a triumph. One soldier spoke, voice amplified and reverent. Your Majesty, we have been searching for you. The word echoed in my head. Majesty. Lira, no, the Queen, closed her eyes briefly. I told you not to follow. We could not obey that command, the soldier said. The Council fears for your safety. She sighed. Of course they do. I took a step back, bumping into a crate. The Queen turned to me. For a moment, I expected dismissal, arrest, erasure. Instead, she said, I'm sorry you had to see that. You're the Queen? I managed. Yes. Does it matter? She asked gently.
It did.
Every empire had enemies, and standing next to a missing monarch was an excellent way to acquire them. She seemed to read my thoughts. You're in no danger, she said, unless you choose to be. That didn't help. She dismissed the soldiers with a gesture and turned back to me. I need to leave. quietly. Will you help me? Why me? Because you spoke to me like a person, she said. Not a symbol. Against every instinct I had, I agreed. We escaped the station aboard my courier ship moments before it was locked down. The Queen, Lira, sat across from me in the cockpit, hands folded, watching the stars stretch as we jumped. You disappeared on purpose, I said once the jump stabilized. Yes. Why? Because my empire is dying, she replied simply. And it doesn't know it yet. Over the next few days, she told me everything. Her people had built an empire on predictive governance, advanced simulations that calculated optimal decisions decades in advance. Wars prevented. Economies stabilized. Rebellions crushed before they began. But the system had become absolute. No room for chance. No room for choice. The simulations say, I must authorize a population culling within 5 years, she said quietly. Entire worlds deemed inefficient. And you don't want to. I won't. The council believed she'd gone mad. That's why they were hunting her, not to protect her, but to replace her. You think leaving will fix it? I asked.
No.
I think being seen will. She wanted to dismantle the illusion of the untouchable monarch, to walk among her people, to remind them that their queen was not an equation. The council caught up to us, near the core worlds. A blockade. Too many ships to outrun. They'll force you back, I said. They'll try. The queen stepped onto the bridge and opened a public channel, broadcasting across every world of the empire. She spoke without script, without augmentation. She told them what the simulations demanded, what she refused to do. She told them she had walked among them, eaten their food, heard their fears. And I choose uncertainty, she said. I choose you. The council attempted to override the broadcast. The fleet hesitated. Then, one by one, ships powered down their weapons. The blockade dissolved. Weeks later, the council was dismantled. The predictive system was limited, no longer absolute. Regional governments were given autonomy for the first time in centuries. The queen returned to her throne, but changed. As for me, she offered me a position. Advisor. Witness. I declined. Some people are meant to stand beside history. Others are meant to stumble into it, recognize it, and step away. I left the core worlds behind, carrying a story no one would fully believe. But sometimes, when I pass through a forgotten station on the edge of nowhere, I think of the woman I met over a broken terminal. And I smile. Because the woman I met wasn't ordinary after all.